Loud. Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Late with Dougie Show. And we're starting late today. How appropriate. I'm your host, Dougie Almeida, where this is the Wake Up Late with Dougie Show. With everything going on around the world, you better get a good night's sleep. I'm joined today with my two guests from New York City, comedians Michael Vecchione and Troy Bond. What's up, fellas?
What's up, Dougie?
And yeah, you guys are both in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you're from now. We've had a few comics, obviously, on the show from New York, and they all say things are fine. But just it's always good to get your guys' perspective, considering the city is been through so much in the last several months.
Things are actually fine. Things are we're defensive here, is what I'm trying to say. We're real defensive.
You sound a little defensive.
Things are actually very good, okay, and fine, and they're fine, and they're good, and there's no problems, okay. So just everybody's just gonna have to accept that.
All right. Didn't want to touch a nerve there, but that's cool. That's
Troy.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's great. Everything. I'm here in Astoria, Queens. I live across from a hospital, and you know what? It's right now. It's the middle of October. I've lived in Astoria for 5 years, and this is a refrigeration truck season. You know, like this is the time of year just when they have cadaver trucks outside of hospitals. It doesn't matter if there's a pandemic or not. It's normal. It doesn't matter. So, you know, it doesn't matter if people are dying by the droves. People have to get out of the hospital regardless. Sometimes you forget to take the trash out and it piles up. Do the trash men go on Facebook and say your apartment's dead when you take the trash cans out a few bags at a time? No. So same thing. Body trucks, everything's fine. I agree with Mike. We're good. Everything's fine. Doesn't matter. And the fact that I was in my online college course with Elmo from Times Square, who's also looking for a second opportunity in a career, means nothing.
Yeah, it's got to be really bad for those. It's really got to be really bad for those characters. Could you imagine? Comics in New York are having a hard time, and the characters where they can't go around and bother people in Times Square right now. What are those guys doing?
They still are
6 feet away.
Yeah, yeah.
Feet away.
Yeah, they can't come within 6 feet. You know, our friend Steve Marshall is nice enough to do a walk with Steve, so I get to see some of New York with Steve Marshall as he walks around the streets and reports, which it does give you a nice different vantage point. And you know what?
It's a report. It is a report. Steve was doing that before the pandemic, by the way. Just to point it out. Someone just happened to give him an iPhone now, so he's talking to other people. Before, Steve would just be doing that.
Yeah, Steve actually had one of those brick phones up until May. And you know what, Troy? The cadaver trucks are just our modern day ice cream trucks. I mean, let's face it.
Exactly. Yeah. It tastes just as good as Mr. Softy.
Yeah, there you go. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream, Troy?
Grandma's ashes.
See, this kid, let me tell you something. Last time I was in New York, I was at the Broadway Comedy Club, and Troy was hosting the show I was on. And 3 minutes into his set, I said, "This kid's funny, man. This kid's going to be a star, right?" I mean, you can tell, right? I mean, how old are you, Troy?
I'm in my late 40s. No, I'm 20. I'm 24.
All right. Well, you know what I mean?
But I'll tell you something, man. I'll tell you, I learned I've been watching Mike since I was 17. I would be interning at Broadway and New York Comedy Club and going to the cellar whatever chance I get, and watching comics like Mike. And then my actual first hosting a pro show, Mike was the first comic that I ever brought up as an MC. And that was at Broadway years ago. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to bring a Tinder date to the first show I was ever hosting, but things went well for me that night because A, I'd been watching Mike for years, and B, Mike was on the show. So by proxy, the rest of the show was funny. But Mike, you were one of the comics I've been watching for years.
It's very sweet, Troy. Thank you for saying that. And I know we talked off camera about a payment.
Yeah.
For, you saying that. And I will get it to you. I'll Venmo.
Yeah. Well, we said Cash App, but Venmo's okay.
Okay, Cash App is something that's a little too technological for me. I'm still on Venmo.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I first saw Troy, I thought to myself, this kid's got something. I don't know if it's comedy, but he's got a Ralph Macchio, kind of a modern day Karate Kid look to him. So it could be comedy. It could be a spin kick to your face. I don't know.
Sweep the heckler, Troy. Yeah, it was a thing, I said, and it's funny as Mike, you've been doing this a long time now. It's nice to see that, right?
Incredibly long time. Can I just stop you there? A long, long, long time.
But dude, you've been, just a few years ago, you and I were talking because you've been nice enough to come do. You and I met when and being down here. You have family down here, so you're nice enough to do our Tavolino shows.
Love Tavolinos.
And we're looking to reopen that soon. Once things, everything's open in Florida. We don't give a shit here.
It's great.
And you're nice enough to do those shows. And you come down here and visit the family like most comics do. That's the benefit I have when I book shows in Florida, because a lot of comics families live here in Florida.
Right.
So it works out pretty well. And we've had you there, and they're looking to reopen. So. And you've been, I've watched you grow like that. I was the first time I saw Mike, I said, "Holy shit, this guy's funny. This guy knows what he's fucking doing." And here you are, and it's been a good, man. See the Comedy Cellar now. Obviously, the Comedy Cellar. None of the clubs are open in New York, right? There's not a club open.
No, none are open. No.
How you guys finding stage time?
There's some outdoor shows. I don't know about Troy, but Troy, actually, you live pretty close to me, I think. If you live in the place where I think you live.
Yes, I do.
You live very close to me. So, but I don't know about Troy's experience, but my experience, I've done some outdoor shows, but I'm not doing that many of them. Like, it was multiple spots a night. You know how it is up here, Dougie. Multiple spots a night, almost every night. But since it's the outdoor shows, I still do them because it keeps you in practice and everything. And the places are good. The setup is nice, but it's I just am doing them like a couple days a week. It's not as rigorous as I was doing them because it's very hard to first of all, in my approach before the pandemic, maybe I could have been doing too many spots. That's a real possibility in terms of just running the material and not having enough time to write and grow and let it breathe. So I'm doing, the long story short is I'm doing less spots. It's harder to get a read on jokes in an outdoor show, in my opinion.
It is really difficult. I did one down here in Florida. We had one in a neighborhood, and in Florida it's hot as balls. So it's not fun trying to tell jokes when the sweat is just dripping down your ass crack.
Right.
Was that a little too? Was that a little too?
No, I think our female listeners appreciate.
Where was the show, Belvoca? What was the Seinfeld retirement community? Where can you do an outdoor show in
Del Vista?
That's a different experience too. Like doing an outdoor show in Florida versus doing an outdoor show in the city. I want to ask Mike what his experience is, but Doug, what's an outdoor show like down in Florida?
Well, it was for us. It was in a cul-de-sac, and everybody was about properly social distance. They were about 400 yards away. So you couldn't. You talk about not being able to get a read on anything. And the worst part was near the end of my set, there was a guy who heckled me. I'm like, "Are you really seriously, dude? I mean, you know what I mean? Heckling at this venue, yeah. It's like going to a Special Olympics event and booing the participants. It's just give me a break, buddy. I don't know. I mean, you have the drive-through shows, right? People do them at drive-ins, and
yeah, one of those. That's good, but it's hard to get the reaction. You can't gauge the reaction. They're flashing their lights when they're laughing. Everybody's good-natured, and the setup is every show I've done the setup is the best it can be. They really do a great job of trying to set. So it's nobody's fault that this is happening. It's just, and I find an outdoor show or a drive-through show is just harder to gauge whether the joke is strong or and then
one thing I started to do at some of these outdoor shows, when your comedy has to work in a confined space, really, it has to be four walls and you're in a room and the laughter can't really go anywhere. And now, like Mike said, not by choice, this is all happening. So comics are sometimes competing with a squirrel who might run across you in a Central Park show, but one thing that I'm starting to do now, and maybe it's something I did before, but just starting to realize it is I'm looking at people's faces during park shows, and if they're not having if they're genuinely miserable, you can read it on their face. Even just like in the half of a half second, comics look at somebody's face when they manage to catch their eye. So now, like, I'm looking out at some of these outdoor shows that don't have that containment, but people are still enjoying them. It's the same. Like, I was worried that comedy clubs were going to be in trouble when things open up again, because I was like, well, nobody's going to want to come to a club. But then restaurants opened after 3 months of everybody having to be inside, and they didn't want to look at each other anymore. And they were like, well, let's go look at each other at Friendly's or whatever. And now they're like, all right, we can't even eat from each other anymore. Let's go to somewhere where other people can talk for us and we can enjoy that. And that's what I've noticed at these shows, is like people are like actually just enjoying live entertainment. They're enjoying that. Like, it's not something, it feels more appreciated now in a lot of ways than it did before.
I like the way you took it, Troy. I think that they took us for granted, and now they brought this disease on themselves because of taking us for granted. And now they're grateful when we perform in an outdoor show. I think you're right. I think the world had it coming, and they didn't appreciate our talents as much as they should have.
So,
Great
Mike,
point.
Everyone was looking at the church and the pastors, and they're like, wow, thank God that, the church around the corner from me in Astoria, they opened after they've been closed for 4 months. And like, wow, it's so brave of the pastor to be coming into work and doing this for all of us for in-person church service. And I was like, yeah, he's doing one spot. All right. I'm doing 4 park shows this week. He's doing one spot.
One spot.
Yeah. So what Mike is saying, it's not China's fault. It's not Trump's fault. It's the hecklers and the comedy world fault.
They brought it on themselves. That's what I'm saying.
They brought it on themselves.
They brought the disease on themselves.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. We hope, right? I mean, New York is taking a while, and you guys had the resurgence, and there's actually schools shutting down again certain areas. Cuomo has kind of put the kibosh on de Blasio from certain things to keep from shutting things down. But if things just continue, if there's a second wave and there's just this continuation of a shutdown, is there a point where you guys would say, the hell with it, I'm out of there?
I'm beelining it to Florida. I'll say it right now. I will be down there in Florida.
Yeah, because he's got a
safer alternative.
He's got a place to go, Troy. Do you have a place to go? Do you have family down here, or?
No. Where am I gonna go? I think what I'm gonna end up doing if New York gets really, really bad and comedy clubs aren't gonna open again, I'm just gonna go down the safe route and just run for Congress. At this point, that's a guaranteed check. Like, I feel like there's a lot that I can pick up on some of the AOC bringers for my campaign. Like, I feel like I can really align myself with some of that, especially as a fiery Latina. Mike, I don't know how you feel, but I we live in the same district. You would vote. That's what I'm saying. You'd vote for me.
But right? You have the name and the look. You're a young, good-looking guy. You're charismatic, well-spoken, and you have the name, Troy Bond. My word is my bond.
Yeah.
There you go. It's
right.
Great.
I've got it. I didn't have what it takes to be a comedian, but I had what it takes to be Ralph Macchio. Again, don't have what it takes to be a congressman, but I do have what it takes to be a Kennedy.
Well, you kind of look like a male version of AOC. Just get
right. That's what I'm saying. I'm a non-binary, like Bruno Mars, lesbian type situation.
Yeah, and you're right. The Bond name is great. It's a great. Mike should be your campaign manager, because he ain't doing nothing.
Do it.
That's what I'm gonna do for corporate. That's gonna be my first thing as my run for Congress. Is I know so many people that are out of work right now. And I'm just going to hire only comics to write slogans and speeches for me. That's what we're going to do. That's how we rebuild this coalition. And then we all go to Washington together. And I'll make it mandatory that if you have done at least 5 years of open mics, then you get a spot on the Tonight Show. I don't know. We're still working the kinks out.
No, I think that you go to Washington with a whole bevy of hilarious policies.
Exactly.
It's working now.
How much worse could it be? Right. You know what I mean? What we need some change. We need change. And there it is. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, it's crazy. I'm actually leaving Florida. I don't know if you guys heard the news. I'm actually moving from Florida.
To where?
North Carolina.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. It was the wife's idea, and I'm like, this is a dumb idea. And then I took a dog for a walk, and I sweat my balls off walking the dog the other day. And I said, you know what? I wouldn't mind leaving this place.
Wow.
Troy, you're a thin guy, you're in good shape, but as a large man like me, it's not fun sweating 12 months out of the year.
And
And if
Dougie,
you,
can I just say something for the listeners? I'm in really good shape too.
he is in real good shape.
I don't want to be left out, dude. I'm in good shape too. I've been working out during the pandemic, and I'm in really good shape. So go ahead.
Everybody knows that North Carolina is the Alaska of the South, so you'll be much cooler there as you would be.
That's the thing. I was second guessing it. When you're gonna I've lived in Florida. I moved from New York when I was 5, and I've been in Florida ever since. And then you're like, oh, the change is gonna be horrible. And I'm telling you, I was walking the dog. It was hot, and I looked on my phone, pulled up the weather in the city I'm looking at moving. I'm like, it was 66 degrees 2 nights ago, and I'm like, see, that's fat guy weather.
That's a great sign. The more sixes you see in a row, the better of an omen it is.
See, did I tell you this kid's talented? Yeah.
Are they open? Is North Carolina open?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so, but yeah, I'm hoping it would be. And,
not minded.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's funny. My wife was even looking at the politics of the city. The poly, like
I waited 7 years to hear that, Mike. Thank you.
Give the kid give him some kudos. My wife was interesting. My wife has never been into politics, but when we were looking at moving, she was actually looking whether a city was liberal or conservative. We were looking at Asheville because Asheville's beautiful, but that's an extremely liberal city.
Right.
I mean, unless you're transgender, whatever, that's the way to, and it's cold as balls there. She didn't realize it's in the mountains. So
wow. So where are you guys
I'm
moving?
tired of these transgenders getting it so easy across the country.
I'm tired of these mountain transgenders.
They're doing it. I mean, like, come
They're
on.
climbers.
Every time I turn on the TV, Mike.
Yeah, all these.
Okay, sorry. That was a bit. Everybody on Facebook. Well, it's Facebook. Nobody cares. Facebook is fun. Nobody's gonna come after you on Facebook the way they're
really
gonna come after you on
get
Twitter.
Get something worth them going after you, and they will find it. Whatever it is, they will find it.
Well,
he said mountain transgenders. What did he mean by that? He meant non-binary climbers.
Right. What about the non-binary desert people, Fraser? The Twitter vitriol comes. Are you Mike all over? Are you on all profiles? Or are you on some profiles?
No,
Mike?
I'm on everything.
Are you on?
I mean, you got to be on everything.
Yeah. Have you done any TikToks?
Yeah. I'm gonna dance right after this.
That's what I was gonna.
A dance, spin kick, Zumba, political rant that I'm doing on TikTok.
It's my favorite jiu-jitsu workout. I think Joe Rogan does that.
I actually got kicked off Twitter. I was suspended off it.
Well, for what?
Well, I was dealing with somebody. There was a little bit of a.
Dougie, you get in fights with people on Twitter.
Not really. Well, this was this got. I made a comment, and the person started attacking me. I must be alone. I'm a loner. I'm ugly. I'm a big fat guy. And then I borrowed, I think, one of Rich Voss's lines, and I said, I would step over your naked body to blow Freddie Mercury's corpse, and that was it.
They banned you for that?
Yeah, and they said because I was threatening her. I appealed it. I go, I'm hardly threatening her. I said I would walk over her, I would avoid her,
right?
Sex with a dead man who had AIDS. So that couldn't be more, evasive.
Right.
It couldn't be more understanding.
I think it's a hallmark moment, to be honest with you.
So how long is your suspension?
I think it's indefinite at this point because, usually I've been bumped off before and they said, just delete your tweet in 24 hours. We'll put you back on, whatever.
Right.
But they didn't even give me a time frame. They just said, good luck. And if you try to come back with a new profile, we'll kick you off as well.
Wow.
So, they actually took his iPhone away.
Yeah. In the middle of the night, a little blue bird flew into my house and gone.
And his name was Tim Cook.
Yeah.
So you're off Twitter now?
Yeah, no more Twitter. I'm going to probably come back as the at Funny Fiduciary because that's a new corporate gig I'm trying to work on. I'm not. I mean, do you guys on Twitter much? I mean, isn't Instagram and like you said TikTok and aren't those the real sources? Media.
I don't personally read a lot of Twitter. I just I'll post jokes or I'll post stand-up clips on Twitter. I'm just throwing not throwing shit at the wall, but like basically just I'll post to Twitter, I'll post to Instagram, I'll post to TikTok. It's just getting it out there. I don't know.
And you're still doing this by yourself? Because a lot of people have hired people to take care of this.
Yeah, I'm doing now I have a guy who helps me, but I'm doing a lot of it too because there's you want to turn it over. You want to like podcast clips and stand-up clips. It's like I'm getting better at it. So I'd like to keep learning it and keep figuring out how to get stuff out there. I would like to have a big following. So I don't know. I guess you got to just figure it out.
And speaking of your podcast, I'm enjoying your podcast. I like watching the clips on there. It's funny the questioning that you and your partner on there with the mustache and the good bad cop.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. There's no more. My partner Justin has left. He left for other projects, and we're still on good terms. But I'm doing it all myself now. So
now he left the project, or did he leave New York?
No, he left the podcast.
Oh yeah.
So it's all me now, and I'm just one bad cop now.
Yeah, well, one bad apple.
One bad apple. That's what I am.
Yeah,
that's a new name. That's a new podcast, maybe. One bad apple.
One bad apple.
That actually is pretty interesting. I think my podcast is a little too long to name, but what are you going to do? Speaking of talent, I was shocked to hear the news today that Eddie Van Halen died.
Crazy.
Yeah, right? And it was just like that on the news. Oh, rock and roll icon died. Ready? He was 63.
5.
Or 65?
Yeah, the 63 is fake news. 65 is accurate.
Oh, I'm sorry about
that. he didn't die.
I'm sorry, Dougie. I had to go after you on that. As a fake journalist, I really have to go after people.
Yeah,
You're the closest thing this podcast has to Bill O'Reilly, Mike. Thank you for keeping the facts straight.
I have to get the facts right.
Next thing you know, he's going to be doing a title theft commercial.
Thank God. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, the 65, and I guess he had died of he had been suffering from throat cancer.
That's correct. That's a rough.
And my brother had throat cancer. And isn't that what Michael Douglas had? Michael Douglas also.
They were all licking the same pussy.
Yeah, that's as Otto would say, Otto George, stanky pussy. You hear about that, because back in the day when I was single, I used to be a muncher. You know what I mean? Just go crazy down on that stuff. And then you heard the news about Mike Douglas, and you're thinking, man, if what's his wife's name? What's her name?
Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Yeah, that hottie. That was one of the jokes.
Not that I've looked into it scientifically or anything. Not that I was going through puberty when this story broke, and I was really terrified. Not that any of that was going on when I was 13.
Did that turn you off when you heard that? Did you think, oh my God, I've been thinking about this woman all this time to find out?
No, because my dad would be dropping horrible life advice to me, things that he just wasn't realizing he was saying. But I remember him finding out that Michael Douglas was telling people he got throat cancer from eating out women. And we were driving in the car, and he looked at me and he was like, that's how you know God is a woman. Because everything I've ever done bad to a woman has come back to hurt me. And I was 12 when I heard that. And I didn't understand how the world worked. And right. I thought for years, oh, I only can do that. I'm not allowed to do any. There was an episode of Friends where Joey was going through a clinical trial test and he couldn't do that. So he could only eat his partner out. And that's what I thought sex was for years. And they didn't tell me differently at Sunday school. So it kind of just worked out. But no throat cancer. I mean, there's COVID now. So maybe that's why. Maybe I ate so much pussy that forget about jumping from bats to humans. It was just snatch to bat. I don't know. That was gonna be better in my head when it was coming to my mouth.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you can either get antibodies or you could just eat some.
Or you can eat Annie's body.
Yeah,
there you go, Troy.
I had a fear of that. I'm actually fearful. I had COVID in June.
Oh wow!
My wife and I was asymptomatic. So then I went on my antibody comedy tour because I figured I had at least 3 or 4 months of immunity, so I didn't mind getting on a plane. And then I had an acting role. So on Monday, I go to the set, 8 o'clock showtime. I'm doing this gig, and they made me wear a suit, and I hate wearing suits. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a suit guy. I don't like wearing suits anymore, especially when you get to the location where they're shooting it and it's like 100 degrees because they didn't turn on the air conditioning in the place when you get there. And then they ask you, "Oh, can you go put your suit on now?" I'm like, "Can I wait till I'm just about to shoot?" And then as I'm putting on I'm sweating my balls off, and I'm not feeling good. And then of course, do my scene, do everything. I'm waiting around because if you guys ever did any acting, you got to wait around a lot and stuff. So then I'm waiting, and then the air kicks in. Now it's Antarctica in this place, and I'm sitting there sweating. So just woke up. Yeah, I woke up today feeling like I had the COVID again, and I'm getting all nervous.
Oh man.
So I took Troy's advice, and I went out and ate some pussy. So hope I feel
That's the way to do it.
Thanks, Dr. Troy.
That's the only cure.
Well, you mentioned the news, and you brought it up. And do you guys trust the news nowadays?
I understand what you're saying. I get it. It's not that it's I don't think it's fake. It's not fake. It's for profit. So they'll take something that's true and then they'll maneuver it in order to get the most views in the most sensational way possible to get the most views. That's the way I look at it. It's not that it's fake, but they're not very honest about being that. They should say that, because the thing I don't like about the media is they act like they're these holier than thou protectors of free speech. That's not what they're. Maybe Walter Cronkite was like that, and maybe the news of the past was like that, but everything's always changing, and that's not what they're doing now. What they're doing now is for-profit news, which includes commentary. Like if you watch CNN or Fox, it's most of it is just commentary on the news stories, but they need to extrapolate it out and sensationalize it in order to get views, because that brings advertisers, which brings money. So if you were just honest about that, then it's like, okay, that's what it is. But we do need some kind of like just, just bare bones news without all of that.
Sometimes if you watch PBS News or something like that, they're probably the closest to that.
They are the closest to it because they tell them, they say the news and then they have an expert on. There's none of these talking heads, nobody arguing, but that doesn't bring ratings, but it's the right thing to do.
Arthur is my Walter Cronkite.
Who's that?
Arthur. He's on PBS. It's a children's show. It's been out for like 20 years. That's my Walter Cronkite. But I think now, like, it's this bubble that exists that you can really live in and don't have to live outside of. Like, I'm a very liberal person, and I can't stand to watch MSNBC or Fox. But the difference is my conservative friends know that Fox News is essentially their think bubble. They understand that. They know that. They know they're watching. They want to turn on the TV and say, Trump has COVID. Maybe. And my liberal friends who watch MSNBC want to turn on MSNBC and hear Rachel Maddow be like, Trump has COVID and he got it from a Russian oligarch in the 1980s. There's a 14-part story. And my first election was 2016 election. I'm 24. I was 20 when Trump got elected. And when he announced, I was 19. I was just maybe 18, just turned 19, and coming down the escalators and watching that whole news story, and all my friends were like, yeah, Trump maybe could be the guy to do it. And I grew up in a big liberal Obama family. I'm half black, half white. Barack Obama is the closest thing that I have to just Superman in my household. And so like moved out to the city, out from Connecticut, and then Trump is running, and at first I was really kind of on board because I didn't really understand a lot of it. And then what did I do to try to understand it? I watched the news, and very quickly I realized what Mike pointed out, that it was all just commentary, because news can't be breaking every hour. And that's what they do on the cable news shows. This is CNN breaking news. God damn it. I've been watching the last 20 minutes. I've been watching this on TV as I'm scrolling through Twitter, retweeting Mike's jokes, and I haven't seen anything breaking since then. So what possibly could be breaking? And it's like breaking news. 20 minutes ago, we said Trump said he was feeling okay. Now, sources close to the White House saying that may not be true. Joining us now for commentary is CNN's Chris Cuomo and Fredo. What do you have to say? I knew it was you. Like none of it matters. And so that's why we're dealt with the situation we have now. Everybody loved Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders' campaign was hoping that young people were going to vote for him. And guess what? Young people thought by voting for Bernie Sanders, that meant that they just had to watch clips of The Daily Show on YouTube. And now they're like, why do we have to vote for Joe Biden? Because Trevor Noah is not going to hold your hand the whole time. So,
it's funny you should mention that about holding hands and stuff. When Trump went into the hospital and his doctors from the hospital were on there, I basically posted that they were a little out of line, because I don't put journalists in high regard, especially the ones of today. And I'm really against righteousness. I'm really against people. I studied philosophy, and I loved Socrates because he would say he was the smartest man in the world because he said he didn't know anything. He protests not to be an expert in anything. Right. And in martial arts, your martial arts trainers would always tell you you're always a student. The minute you think you know everything, that's the day you get knocked the fuck out.
Right.
And, and so I posted this, and hundreds of comments just coming in about how dare you, how dare you say these things and everything. And it's just amazing to me. Again, it's one thing if you're going to get into a discussion with somebody and say, hey, I don't think you're right. This is why I think this. But then when you start saying you're an idiot, everybody has this righteous attitude like they're all knowing and you're an idiot.
They're virtue signaling.
Thank you.
That's really what it is. Which that's like the antithesis. That's like a comedian kryptonite, right? I mean, that's anybody that comics just put themselves on a baseline is observational and just kind of paying attention to the world around you. And the second somebody has this pretentiousness of being like, oh, well, electoral college, Senate, Mayor Garland, like nobody's ever changed their views from a Facebook comment. So anybody that's copying and pasting anything from their note section of their phone, you got to think like, why is this person telling me this? It's not
right. I mean, to you guys' point, I don't think we're evolved enough to have this technology. That's also a point. Like all these platforms and this technology, we're not evolved enough to handle it. I don't think. Did
you guys see the thing on Netflix, Social Dilemma, which basically says, that's a great thing. And I said this on our podcast a couple of years ago. If you want the world to get right, we have to get rid of Facebook, because it's just, you're right. You're exactly right. We're not ready for this. We're not ready for this ability to be heard every second. Sometimes freedom of speech should come with an IQ test. Not everybody. Really.
I think that's some of these people on Facebook just need a journal, like a buffer zone between your head and everybody else knowing what's going on inside of it. Like,
right.
There should be an open mic Facebook. There should be until you get credibility to get on a true global stage, you should be on an open mic Facebook where you got to sign up and you got to go out and hand out cards to get actually time on the media. You got to barter for time on open mic Facebook.
Yeah.
I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, but hopefully the answer is people get educated to it. And it's somebody else had this analogy. This isn't mine, but it's like they compared it to smoking, where it's like, oh, once you realize that it's this bad for you, then you'll adjust to it and you won't be on it. Or, we have to be on it to a certain extent. So you just post and then get off. And then, that's it.
Yeah, I keep breaking my own rules. I don't want to make political comments because the next thing you know, people are just commenting and don't even get involved. But sometimes you see something, you're like, oh, I got to make a comment. One thing happened.
You got to catch yourself. I mean, for your own mental well-being, it's like realistically, like you're a smart guy. You don't want to waste your energy fighting with people on there. It's just a waste of energy. You're not convincing anybody of anything. And these people, it's like, they're not going to step to you. It's not like a face-to-face confrontation where there's some honor being protected. It's just like, it's a waste. It just gets you upset. It gets them upset. And it just turns into something ugly. And then it casts like a bad energy on you for the rest of the day. So just like when you start to get it's like I don't it's not going to change anything. So and I don't feel the need to like get involved in this. You know, I have other, especially a guy like you have a lot going on. It's like I have other places I can put my energy. I don't want to do it. I don't want to
Yeah,
put it in
you're
this.
right. Because once you do get involved with it, it kind of eats away at you. You're like, oh, I
It
don't wanna do
does.
this. And then people, the people are in the industry, people are this. You're like, oh my god, this person. Next time I see them, are they going to be, this
Yeah.
guy's a club booker, and this
Right.
person's this, and you're
Right.
thinking, oh my god, and then you're thinking, because there you come real close to basically telling somebody to go, go screw themselves,
Right.
kind of thing.
But it's a bad, it causes a bad feeling. And I even feel it sometimes when I'm on there too. I know when I'm on there too much, when I start to hate, I start to judge, not hate, I start to judge people that I already know. Like I know that I'm friends. I start to judge. When I start judging people, I'm like, I got to get off this. This isn't a them problem. This is a me problem being on this too much.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I think a big thing is not being able to, because like I worked at the Empire State Building for 5 years. I dressed up like King Kong as a mascot, and I took pictures with the tourists at the Empire State Building for 5 years. It's, I'm not saying that as an accomplishment, but here's the one thing that I learned, that it was an allegory between that job and social media, where I got the shit kicked out of me almost routinely at that job, because I'm in this giant mascot costume and people are just walking up and they're going, oh my God, it's King Kong. And they want to rough him up. I get it. Like, they want to get into a scrap. But then I'm talking like open hand slaps. I had one time just the dude just grabbed me by the pussy, just like right up and grabbed me in the King Kong suit. This happened. And I understand the reason why I would get mad. I'd go back in the room and take the gorilla head off. And I'd just be like, what is wrong with humanity? Then I realized if they know there's a person inside of the costume, but they can't see the person inside of the costume. All they see is the costume. Right. And so that's why some of these Facebook fights get so nasty sometimes, is because I don't think that when you spend 8 hours a day collectively just mining through your phone, not even really looking at it, it's hard for you to realize that everything that you're seeing is from another human being. It's like another human being connected to that phone, but you don't see the whole human being. What do you see? We've all done it. You see their pictures, you stalk, you zoom in, you zoom out, you go to albums, you do all this other, so you don't connect to them as human beings.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought Troy would have learned all this just from wearing a gorilla outfit?
I'd like to cut Troy off for a second and be like, I didn't know. I'm sorry that I didn't know that you were a sensitive King Kong. If I knew that there was a sensitive person inside that suit, then I wouldn't have smacked you in the dick and grabbed you by the head. Okay. No, and let me say something else, Troy. No, you're not going to talk over me. You're not going to talk over me. I'm going to make my point. Okay. And Troy mentioned was getting to his acting background about playing King Kong, and I've been in stuff too. So I just want to say that.
Yeah.
He was Mighty Joe Young.
Excuse me. I hate to interrupt, but clearly only one of us has seen Beneath the Planet of the Apes, by far the best one of the franchise, and that's the allegory I was going for there, Mike. Of course, I've seen you and everything that you've been in. Are you kidding? I subscribe to the Comedy Central YouTube channel. Okay. Every time that your name pops up, it's like
because I've been in stuff too.
Hanukkah.
I've been in stuff too, because you guys both mentioned acting work now, and I think that you both are trying to show me up. Oh, my acting work. It's like I was in stuff too, dude. I was in stuff too.
I saw you on The King of Staten Island, and I grabbed my mother and I said, I've said some words to that guy, and I tell people we're friends. And she said, I'm so happy that you don't have student loans. So I saw you in Staten Island, and in a lot of ways, it was like I wasn't in Staten Island. That's what it was for me. And I was very proud of you when I saw that, Mike.
Well, thank you for finally giving me some credit, Troy. Okay. And Dougie, acting work. I had to put on a suit. I had to put on a gorilla outfit. It's like, who am I? Just a piece of shit? Like, I'm a person too. Yeah.
What are you? Are you doing the Rainforest Cafe gigs that I'm doing here, Mike? No, you're just
make me want to
move. Movies.
You make me want to move to North Carolina. Both of you.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? They say Raleigh is the new Williamsburg.
But I will not move to Asheville because of the transgender, non-binary mountain climbers that are there.
It's getting out of hand. Are you kidding me? I already have Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't need to live it.
That's a good move. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I'm just mad at Mike for not helping me get a part in that movie. I'm like, I thought I knew him well enough. Like, hey, you know this guy Dougie? He's an actor. He's from Florida. I'm sure he'll come up and do something. Hey, speaking of actors, in New York City, I don't know if you guys caught the news last week when Rick Moranis was sucker punched in the face walking. Boy, you know, I mean, yeah, we had that problem, right? Was it a few years ago? We had that knockout game.
Knockout game.
Yeah.
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 You guys
I think
ever?
it's Rick Moranis' fault. Can I take the opposing opinion?
Sure.
If you're going to be in the knockout game, you can't cry about losing, okay? It's called the knockout game for a reason, dude.
So you think the guy was just an overzealous movie critic and he just
Yeah,
pissed
he
and like
was. And you
Ghostbusters?
know what? Let you I don't know if this is this live, Dougie, because I'm sure people are going to comment and let them bring it on. Bring it on.
If there was somebody you wished was punched besides Rick Moranis, who would it be?
Bill de Blasio is still walking around untouched in New York City, and he's done way more to me than Rick Moranis. Rick Moranis gave up, are you kidding me? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids fame. He gave up Spaceballs fame. He gave up Little Shop of Horrors fame to take care of his wife who was dying of cancer, and then she died, and he took care of his kids, and then he just chilled in an apartment for 30 years, and then came out to get milk once and got dunked on.
Yeah,
that doesn't sit right with me. I feel like that is probably a guy who really wanted to see a Spaceballs too, but obviously we didn't get one.
I love Spaceballs, man. Rick Moranis is a fantastic actor.
Yeah,
one of the greats.
That was a
And
great
I'm sorry
movie.
that happened to him, for real.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than getting punched when I mean, I was a fighter and I've been punched many times. I've actually one of my new bits, I've been kicked in the balls 179 times. That's why I don't have any kids. I've been kicked in the balls so often my nuts have cauliflower ears. Even Joe Rogan's trying to put my nuts on his podcast for 4 hours. But getting punched without, you can really get messed up. I've seen that happen. People get punched, they fall and they crack their head open on the ground. So,
he took it like a champ, though. I don't know if you guys saw the video. He took the punch and kind of just brushed himself. I was proud of him. I was proud of him for how he took that, because he was an actor.
I mean, I know you guys.
He wasn't a fighter.
I pretend to be a fake cop a lot, so I want to know: have you guys heard anything about the suspect? Because he was wearing an "I Love New York" sweatshirt, which means he's a tourist, and they always come here and they always try to ruin our fun.
I heard he was mad. He went to go see a comedy show and Tina Fey wasn't on it, and he just saw Rick Moranis and decided he was going to exact revenge on him.
Is that a pretty good point? Was he angry about something else? Do you think, that guy? I mean, why?
I don't know.
I'm going to take that on Rick Moranis. It's like my wife is being a whatever, a blank. That you can't say.
And I can't shrink her, so I'm going to hit this guy's
Rick
wife.
Moranis.
That's a great question.
Rick Moranis.
That's a great question. I wonder if he even knew it was him. You know what I mean? Did he?
It would be weirder if it was a premeditated assault on Rick Moranis, because then I'd want to know what kind of enemies does Rick Moranis have that they can just come out of the shadows 30 years later. Like,
no, I think it was the opposite. I think it was like he was mad about something. He's like, I'll show the world. Where's Rick Moranis? And then he went and hit him.
I'll show the world.
And we're talking about it right now. So it obviously worked.
Yeah.
We're talking about it right now.
John Candy's not around to punch. Yeah, that's nuts. Our next little topic, guys, we're running out of hurricane names. What would you name the next hurricane?
This is actually, I have this premise that I do. I hope I'm not stepping on anybody. But we're running out of hurricane names. It's a common topic. But my take on it is we start naming the hurricanes after our college nicknames that we gave our friends in college, because it would be like friendlier. It's like, oh, Smitty will be here soon, or Keg Stand Mike is coming up the coast. That's my that joke was.
I thought I was going to have a couple more, but thanks. That was perfect. Any? How about you there, Troy?
Well, I thought it was interesting that I read that article a couple of weeks ago, and they said that they're running out of letters in the American alphabet to name hurricanes after. So they're going for the Greek alphabet, right? And I think we should, why just stop at letters? Just start naming hurricanes after diners, because they're all run by Greeks, and much like diners, hurricanes devastate you financially and put a lot of strain on your family. So why not just call the next one, hey, it's Hurricane Constantelis from the street.
That's solid.
It's a oh, I got 2 on the show. God damn it. This is making up for all the times my dad didn't come to my T-ball games, Mike. Thank you. This
maybe
is twice in one show. I want everybody on Facebook to know that the guy that memorized the Megabus joke when he was 20 is getting love now years later.
And say that's the only way you'll travel now, by a fucking Megabus.
Yo, that's true, man. I feel safer going to Megabus. Have you taken Ubers in the pandemic, Mike?
Yeah.
Do they all have that
Not all of them. I mean, most of them, Dougie. I don't know if you know what's going on here, but in our Ubers, that there's plastic that separates the front and the back, and then you get in with a mask, so it's pretty safe, I would say.
Unless the person before you was sitting back there.
That's true.
Easy. I did notice that there was.
Oh shit!
There was
just throws a wrench into all of it.
I know.
Well, I had a gig in at a place called Vasani's this past week in Port Charlotte, and I go to the hotel and there's people just walking. I had my mask on. I don't want to take it. So I'm about to get on the elevator. And there's 4 people on the elevator without a mask, and I'm like, I'll take the next elevator. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like my fat ass was going to take the stairs. Listen, I think, let's listen, that's why I'm leaving Florida, hurricanes. So I don't give a shit what they name them. Hopefully I'll just get the residue in North Carolina. What's your worst?
North Carolina gets hurricanes though, too. I hate to.
But the East Coast, the East side, there's a bit of a buffer. You know what I mean? Where we're looking just west of Charlotte.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be getting a rain type situation, but I don't have to worry about 180
the
miles.
Buffer's called wind. Georgia.
Yeah. That's the fluffer of hurricanes. All right, I'm going to skip one question. We're on time, so I'm going to just ask you this guy's question. If you were capable of time travel, would you go back in time, or would you go into the future? And if you would go back in time, when, and in the future, how far?
I would go back and do all the check spots that I have ever done and do them again to really appreciate them for each time that I've done a joke in the last 3 months and I've been heckled by a golden retriever whose frisbee went across my feet. That's what I'd go back in time and do. I'd go back in time and really appreciate check spots. Anything else? I feel like what else can you go back in time for? It's been, I had to live a very short amount of time of my life without an iPhone. So going backwards, what am I, going to get to watch the Challenger explode? No,
I don't know, Troy. You might have to live in the moment.
No, I don't think that's, I converted to Buddhism during their quarantine. These are my mala beads right here. They're the prayer beads. They talk a lot about living in the present works.
It looks like a disguise. It looks like beads on the outside, but really it's a smartwatch with all of your social media.
They're anal beads and they smell terrible and they don't tell time.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get punched in the face walking down the street.
Yeah,
no one's going to try to steal with his Buddha beads.
Nope. No one's going to punch a guy. I'm just going to use them because the next time I get accosted by a monk in Times Square who wants to sell me that little sticker for $3, I'm just going to be like, haha, reverse back to you, like a Uno card.
Boy, that's a game we haven't played in a while. Mike?
I would go back, and then right when I moved to New York, I would become a Scientologist, and I think my career would farther ahead. Religion that really makes a difference. Sorry, Jesus.
Xenu, that's the one.
He'd be co-starring with gosh, I forgot his name. The big
Tom Cruise,
John
Travolta. Who's not in Scientology? The extras aren't. All the stars are.
The guy holding the hot dog.
My name is Earl. Is a Scientologist. That broke my heart. Jason Lee. The other day, I rewatched that in quarantine. I found out 4 episodes in, he was a Scientologist, and I was like, well, I don't care anymore.
All the best.
That's
all the best guys. Go clear.
Well, Here's our word of the day, fellas. I don't know if you've heard of this word, but the word is apodosips. Hold on a second. Need to get some bleach.
Yeah, there's too many P's to say with the dry mouth, man. You're gonna start a brush fire.
Apodopsis. I've never heard the word. It's a very interesting word, but it's the act of mentally undressing someone to imagine a person nude.
All right.
Seems like Troy's doing that with Kathleen Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, that's. I feel like you undressed. I feel like I put my clothes. I put more clothes back on after you said. What is it? Apostasis?
Apodopsis.
That's when you mentally undress somebody. What about when you see somebody and then you put a mask on them? What is that called?
That's called Kellyanne Conway-sis.
That's Kellyanne Conway-sis. But see, you learn something new every day. And now it's time for Let's Make It Funny. We have some stories here. You guys are challenged to be the funniest comic in the Make It Funny bit just by making us laugh by just simply the punchline or the story. And this week's prize is a dream date with Kathy Griffin and the severed head of Donald Trump. Our first story, by the way, let's get back to this. Our first story is that's not the storylines. Hold on a second. Our first story, everybody, is a hypnotist sexually assaulted clients. You know, have you ever been on a comedy show with a hypnotist?
Yes.
One of those hypno shows?
Yeah. And the guy did he did better numbers.
Did he?
Yeah. It's like, I'm doing something wrong.
They always do. The hypnotists can market themselves to being able to make the audience think that there's something they can provide that'll change your life. You know, we can only change your life for like 2 hours and make them feel funny for like 20 minutes of that.
Do you buy the act? Do you buy it? Do you think these people are just acting out for the sake of the show?
Wait, what was the story? The hypnotist molested people?
Yeah, I guess he said he was a hypnotist and ended up performing a proctology exam of some sort. Essex County-based hypnotist was arrested on Wednesday after an investigation revealed that he was sexually assaulting clients.
And then he starred on the Cosby Show for what, 15 years after that?
That's pretty solid.
Yep, that was good.
I got that one.
You got to laugh. And he was charged with sexual assault, endangering the welfare of a child, and practicing medicine without a license.
Okay, here's my
That's where I draw the line.
Here's my take. He's a doctor, a hypnotist. I would be like, I'm also a cop. And then I would arrest the guy for arresting me. I would arrest him. I'm going to higher rank. This is my jurisdiction.
It's funny how
Maybe
titles
that guy
work.
really is.
Yeah, he is a board certified hypnotist who specializes in academic sports performance,
right,
and medical hypnosis, counseling for adults, teens, children, etc.
Right. Maybe those guys need to get laid too. All right, maybe he was just.
Thank God, I don't just want to go to any unboard certified hypnotist. I want to go to a board certified hypnotist if he's going to cure my cancer.
It's funny how you say titles. I was at one of these soirees, you know, and it was all politicians and big time millionaires and prominent people. So I was with one of my buddies, and I met my friend, my friend who's an attorney. Says, "Hey, Dougie, this is so and so. They're a doctor and an attorney." I'm like, "Oh, here's my friend Bill. He's a alcoholic and a pothead." Our next story: a herd of charging cows in England kill a second man in a month. So there's herds of cows running through England, killing people. 72-year-old man.
The first guy was talking too much. How did they know it was the second one?
Well, the cows did say move.
Oh,
I think the real thing here is that if red meat doesn't kill you one way, it'll get you the other.
There you go.
The
other.
And oddly enough, the guy who was killed was a vegetarian.
I think that's the best. It's like, what do you think? What's the chances of you getting run over by a bunch of cows? Medium rare. I would say rare. Medium rare.
I don't think we could top that. There you go. See, that's what happens when you got Mike Vecchione on the show.
No, Troy got the last one. I had to rebound.
We're one. You guys are 1-1 here.
That's good. That's gold.
I don't know. Are we keeping score? I think this is teamwork.
gold.
Let's just try to build on each other.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't be.
It's like Batman and the guy who is nowhere near qualified to be his sidekick.
I got Troy with youth and charisma coming up. So he's gonna get a show, and I'm gonna be asking him for a writing job.
Great. I hope you really love Wild and Out.
Mike, did you write this?
'Cause I'm gonna be doing the
here's
crap
what we got
show.
today.
That would be hysterical to see Mike on Wild and Out.
Yeah, that would be really cool. It would just be like mild and let's talk about it.
All right, here's a story. A woman arrested for using 6 children to steal Trump campaign signs. A woman in upstate New York was arrested on Sunday for allegedly using 6 children to steal Trump campaign signs from homes of Trump, obviously voters.
To steal them from Trump voters. She's against Trump. But isn't Trump, he's pro-life, so he kind of fucked himself.
Yeah.
If he was pro-choice, those kids all would have been aborted, and the signs would have been safe and sound.
No signs would still be standing.
Yeah.
And if you look at a picture of this woman, she looks
You hot?
Like a lot like Stormy Daniels.
no, she looks like Stormy Handles. If you could see that.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
No, they've made the murderer.
She actually looks like the lady from Throw Mama from the Train.
She's got 6 kids, though. I mean, that does take a toll on your body. And
Yeah. I mean, look.
enough with that. I'm here to
nobody-
break up the toxic masculinity on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, it's
I could see where it affected the body, but the face. Yeah. New York State police officer pulled over Algarin on a highway after dispatchers were able to locate her vehicle because of all the Trump signs hanging out the window.
Wow.
There you go. There's a lot of stories here about New York. How'd you know it was me?
sorry, Mike.
The New York town of Swastika votes to keep its name. I didn't know.
That brings so much shame on their mayor, Paul Joseph Goebbels. I swear to God, he was the one that made the decision that said, we're going to do something about our Auschwitz High School and everything we can to possibly deal with Jews should not be allowed to live in 2020 high school. That we're going to do everything we can. It was terrible.
Can I make the most obvious joke? It's they voted to keep the name. Did they vote like this?
Raise your hand.
They piled their way into keeping the name.
Yeah, it's odd that no one shows up to the I forgot the joke. Anyway, it's just too good. Once you did the Seg Heel thing, I was,
What's this segment called? Dougie phones it in.
Yeah, exactly. I think I actually do have Corona.
I don't know the joke. Whatever, guys.
You guys are carrying it. What the hell do I need to do? Well, there you go. That's a good one. And our next story, a drunk man has a 13-year-old drive him to get ice cream, charged with endangering a child. This happened in Lubbock, Texas. Javier Eduardo Martinez Aguilar, 42, of Lubbock, has been indicted on a charge of endangering a child, criminal neglect. According
being a bad stepdad.
Yeah, he should have took him for yogurt, not ice cream.
Goes right to the thighs, man.
The officer asked the driver for a license and proof of insurance. And the 13-year-old told the officer she didn't have a license. And then she told the officer her age.
This sounds like a set.
I have to side with the guy. I have to side with the drunk guy on this. He's empowering women to drive, and the state can't handle it. This is not Saudi Arabia. Women are allowed to drive.
No. Yeah.
He's holding women to their highest possibility.
That's right. Responsibility and making them the best they can be. I don't know.
Yeah. At least he's not sex trafficking her. So that works.
No, he's just stuck in traffic with her while trying to have sex. What is the deal with that?
What's the problem?
Jerry!
Now, here's a story that I actually had an old joke I stopped telling, but this is true. A lot of people, when I used to tell this joke, didn't realize this was a true type of process. But I tried foreskin facial treatments, so you don't have to. I don't know if you guys are aware of
Didn't
this.
cost you much. They just wanted to keep the tips. I said, wow, they got a great snack bar at this salon. The calamari is off the hook. They said, we're not having a snack bar. Oh, take my wife, please.
The process, they actually take foreskin from babies
Mhm.
because the skin is so alive with, just life.
Yeah,
And,
juicy. I get it.
They grind it up and they put it on your face. Boy, what people do to have a baby face.
That's pretty
Yeah.
solid.
Don't get it in your eye, you'll be cockeyed.
Yeah.
I am on a phone trying to book a special appointment for a foreskin facial. It actually is real.
All right.
Yeah.
So what is it? Do they grind up the foreskin? Is it a liquid? Is it a powder? Like what is it?
They take
It's the episode of Bill. This is the only Bill Nye episode I never saw. Is foreskin a liquid, a solid, or a gas?
Well, as a pedophile, I need to know what they're going to put on my face.
That's right.
Right. That was, I think, how they started the Epstein documentary.
Yeah. Today, after we blow up this helium balloon with fire, we're going to show you how we do a foreskin facial. The procedure is popular in Hollywood. Go figure. Celebrity circles inject cells from a baby's foreskin, specifically in South Korean baby's foreskin, into the face. Sandra
I think
Bullock.
that's how they made Jaden Smith.
Sandra Bullock and Kate Blanchett are big fans. Yeah, so that's how it works.
How did they know that?
You ever see their face?
Yeah, maybe.
Is it something that women do or that men do?
Well, this guy did it, so I guess you could do it.
Yeah.
And boy, but you can get in cheaper at the movie theater if you do it.
It's something a guy does, but you don't find out about it until 20 years later, and he accuses him of doing it at a party in the 90s. It's like a Kevin Spacey thing.
Yeah, you go to some of these salons. You say, I want a foreskin facial. It's a little different. We do it here. And our last story for the day: elderly woman 71 is suspected as the getaway driver for a burglar gang. Garda.
And her last words were, "Thank you for being a friend."
And not leaving me at the bank again.
I don't think they were actual burglars. They were just all had masks. Is that a possibility? That they were just
They weren't actually robbing the bank. They were just
robbing the place.
trying
And
to
that foreskin thing also, that's a violation of COVID. I mean, there's a lot of other violations in that whole story, but the COVID violation there is a lot. I look at everything with COVID violation in mind.
Yeah, well, thank you.
COVID goggle.
Cardi had his Garday have a.
Oh wait, can I go back to the the foreskin facial?
Yeah.
It's like you go to get one, your friend talks you out of it. You call him a cock block, for real.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. I took a risk.
It's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it that you took the risk.
I'm not a grower. I'm a shower. It says here that the 70-year-old bed and breakfast owner suspected of ferrying a gang of younger criminals across the country to carry out an aggravated burglary. But at least it wasn't her 13-year-old daughter.
No, I believe that she is really old because she used the word ferrying.
Yes. No one's questioning her age, even though she had a foreskin facial.
I think that that's against gays. That's against the gay community, say ferrying. I don't know. Is that a slur?
I don't know. I got in trouble with that too on Facebook. Somebody was talking about Chuck Todd.
Yeah.
The newscaster.
Right.
And they were just bad mouthing the guy. And I said, has he come out of the closet yet? And, because I just seemed to think he may be gay.
Right.
And then somebody who was gay was offended that it was very aggressive of me. I said, why was that bad? Why would you say that's bad? I'm a 53-year-old man. I've lived in Miami. I've worked in Wellington I
sucked a few cocks, bro.
Yeah, give me a break. I didn't know flamboyance was a bad characteristic. Yeah,
hey, it's banging in the jets for fucking nothing, man.
Hey, when you go down to South Beach high on ecstasy, You never know.
Hey, when you go down to South Beach, you go down the bottom of South Beach, you come out the top. All right, forget about it.
Your listeners better be appreciating all the work we're putting into this, Dougie.
I
Okay,
know.
we are high-powered guests, and we better get some good fucking comments. I'm telling you that right now. And I better
Mike
get
and
to
I
plug
have been
my own
locked
shit,
in-
Dougie. I didn't come here for nothing. Okay, I'm no sap. I want to plug my shit to your Florida listeners.
Plug it,
Yeah.
Mike. You got an audience down there. What floor? What do you have to plug?
I don't want to step on nobody's toes. Okay,
Hey,
maybe that's not the maybe that's not the part of the podcast where we plug shit. But I'm letting Dougie know I'm plugging my shit.
Plug it. Hey, I'm standing here with an electrical outlet over here, and you say, where do I put the charger in? Oh, I got one hand on the socket, the other hand holding an iPhone. You just tell me where I gotta connect the two, my friend.
Hey,
Well,
Troy, I love that you have a picture of the continental United States behind you.
No, this is an Applebee's menu that I got from a Chuck E. Cheese event.
Whoa.
They were closing down, and I said, hey, I need something to tell my probation officer. I went on a field trip this week.
He's got pins.
that's what I got.
He's got pins everywhere. He's worn his gorilla fucking outfit.
Yeah, I got the continental United States. I got a picture of the Kennedys right here.
Wow.
And I got R2D2, and that's maybe about it. Little Amy Winehouse action happening up here. That's me and my brother when we were in my my dad owned a karate school when I was growing up. That's when we were both in the karate school. I'm just giving you the
They
tour.
obviously never taught you how to tie a belt in that karate school. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, well, that's the thing. People always ask me when I was a kid. I got my ass kicked, got the shit kicked out of me, and they said, "Well, how did that happen?" And I said, "Well, the guy was a brown belt." And they said, "Well, I thought you were a black belt. Isn't a black belt higher than a brown belt?" And I said, "Yeah, unless you got a brown belt tied around your neck when you're in the middle of a fight." Oh, that's my first stand-up joke. Hey, it took Al Martin 6 years to book me and telling him that joke. Hey, I was 17 when I told him that one. And now I'm sitting in a story apartment with some broken shades and my United States map that I got from Rikers.
And you have a TV
Island.
right in front of your door. That's nice.
It doesn't work, actually. It's Big Brother is watching.
Usually
it's the telescreen.
Usually put their TV in a nice wall where they can watch it, not where they're walking in
Yeah.
out of.
No, not me. The thing is I think the best way to put your TV is on the floor. That's as close that I've kept it. It doesn't even turn on. Actually, if I turn this TV on right now, Kim Jong-un would die. This is the one thing that's keeping him alive. The only reason why he's been in and out of a coma the last few weeks is because I've been trying to catch the end of Ozark, and I just realized it was time to let it go.
Great show, by the way. Great show. Well, that's all we have time for here, guys. Here on the show, Wake Up Late with Dougie Show. I want to thank Mike Vecchione and Troy Bond for joining us today.
All right, plugs, Dougie.
Yes, let's do them.
All right, could you guys please that are listening right now look into my face? Can you give me the screen, Dougie? I would like you to listen to my podcast called No Disrespect. I'm the only host now. I'm doing it solo, and I need your fucking support. Now, I think I did my job on this podcast, and I came up with the jokes for the articles, and I was in there, and I was trading shots with the rest of the guys, and I held my own. So please subscribe to No Disrespect Podcast and follow me on social media at Comic Mike V and see me perform live sometime. Okay? Thank you.
There you go. How you like that?
Mike, put me down. Put me down.
What do you, Troy?
Troy, do you have anything,
nothing.
Troy?
Yeah, well, hopefully Mike will have me on his podcast soon because that's the only thing I'm going to have close to a credit. Until then, you could find me on OnlyFans. No, nothing. I'm taking acting classes. I have a podcast called Bonding with Troy Bond. All my social media is at Troy Has Ebola. That's pretty much where you can find me right now until I finally take over for one of the Cuomos, whether it be at CNN or at a governmental level. Either way, Mike's going to be with me. So
I'd vote for you.
Yeah, that's all I need. It's just one vote for Mike. It took me 7 years to get this much FaceTime with him. So
Well, congratulations.
7 more years and I'll be in the White House.
wherever you find Troy, he's an upcoming kid. I think he's funny as shit. So
Very funny.
when I
Troy
saw
is
the
very
kid,
funny. Worked with him for years at the Broadway. Him hosting, him setting the table for me. I'm usually go up first, and he's great. So check out Troy, check out Dougie, and I just took over the podcast. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next.
no wonder your partner left you. We're partners, Mike.
Mike, I
Can't
really
keep
do
a
want to
man.
say though, Mike, like I've been thinking about this a lot. You know, just thinking about the little things you take for granted, and the first show that I ever really did host, you were the first comic on, and then you were on almost every show that I'd hosted after that, and it was always a treat and a pleasure to see you on some of those shows, and I'm basically just trying to extend this as long as I can, because you said 30 cents a word, and I learned a bunch of them. No, but really, Mike is the one that I sat in the back and learned everything from. So thank you, Mike. I haven't got to see you since everything shut down.
That's right, man. That's right. Well, thank you. Thanks for saying that, man. I appreciate it.
Very good. And by the way, November 16th to 22nd, God willing, if it's open, I'll be at the Laugh Factory in Vegas with Tom Rhodes.
Nice. Tom's great.
Very funny, a Florida guy. And I think they're opening. The Harry Basil mentioned that they're going to be opening. Hopefully it's before that. So I have a reason to go to Vegas. Follow our show on Twitter, which didn't get kicked off, at Wake Up Dougie. Follow our show on Instagram at Wake Up Late with Dougie Show. Follow me at Dougie Dangerous on Instagram. No longer on Twitter unless they accept my appeal. And guess what, guys? We'll be back right here next week with an all-new show right at the same spot. Good night. Take care and wear your mask.